Oh, I hear somebody else.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Come closer, everybody. Good morning as we come learn some chassidus together. We are holding in the 31st chapter. We all learn together. Ein oiz ala Torah. We learn Torah to give us strength, to give Klal Yisrael strength. That whatever Jews are going through, and especially in Eretz Yisrael, let them take strength from our learning. And all those that are hurt should get a healing, and all those that are afraid should come out of their fear. And we should only come to a day of celebration, Be'ezrat Hashem, for Klal Yisrael. So the Alter Rebbe, as we march to chapter 32 of Tanya, which is the heart of Tanya, Leiv, 32 is Lamed Beis, Leiv, we march to the heart of Tanya. First, the Alter Rebbe makes the platform. How can you look at another Jew if you first have to look at yourself? You say in the statement, "V'ahavta l'reacha kamecha," you shall love thy neighbor as you love yourself. So first, you have to understand yourself and what's important. What is important? What's primary? What's secondary? And once we understand this concept of what is primary, what's secondary, we can come to the concept of looking at somebody else in that kind of the same way. So the Alter Rebbe premises on the concept of Yetzias Mitzrayim. They're going out of Egypt, which the sages have asked that every Jew should feel like he's going out of Egypt every single day, even though he went out of Egypt thousands of years ago. The Torah wants that it's actually in your davening, it's Sheish Zechiris, it's 6 remembrances, and it's part of the Shema. All about going out of Mitzrayim, going out of Egypt. So what is the going out of Egypt today? Is releasing the soul from the constraints of the body. That when a Jew releases his neshama, gives his neshama priority, even for a moment a day, he gives his soul priority over his body, he has the capability of Yetzias Mitzrayim. That's going out of Egypt. Because the body puts the soul, constrains the soul, doesn't let the soul truly enjoy life and enjoy its life, its spiritual life. And when the neshama, when the body doesn't allow the soul to enjoy its spiritual life, that's Mitzrayim. That's the greatest gullus, the greatest exile that the soul can have. And the greatest redemption of the soul is when the soul can release itself and can live a life of true unity with its source, which is God. So that's that Alter Rebbe says. We'll start on page 144 in your Tanya, the middle of chapter 31. We'll go to the left column, and we'll start from the top of the left column. The third line is the second paragraph. And although the body is still in its contemptible and abominable state, even though when you go out of Mitzrayim, when you release the soul from the body, and you give the soul its freedom. So you might say, "Oh, the body has disappeared." Well, the body has not disappeared, and therefore the Zohar compares the body to the skin of a serpent, meaning as so much as the essence and substance of the animal soul has not converted to good. I haven't become a tzaddik yet. I haven't become a righteous individual to say that I'm pure. I don't have to worry about my body. It's not true. Because the body is still there. And therefore, if the body is still there, Baruch Hashem, the body is still there. We want to have a body, Larich Lasyom V'Shonim Tovos, for many, many happy and healthy years. And automatically, when we have a body, it obscures the soul because it feels primary, and we have to overcome that. So still, the essence of the body is still there. And so, as to emerge into holiness, nevertheless, therefore, the body is not to become holy. Nevertheless, his soul become more precious in his eyes than the despised body. You should realize that the Rebbe learns the story of Kairach. The story of Kairach as Rashi says, that Moshe Rabbeinu said, if you want to have a true godly experience, you're gonna have to leave your body. And only a Kohen God, only certain people can have a body and godly experience and be at the same times as body and soul. You have to be a tzaddik. And not anybody can be zeicha to that. So therefore, if you want to have kairach and all your group want to have an outer body experience, then you have to leave your body. So it was not a threat. He just told them that's going to be a reality. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu was very clear today in the Parsha. You're gonna have a body. You're gonna have an outer body experience. You're gonna die. And if that's what you want, then that's what you'll get. And the truth is, they were ready to go for that. They were ready to go for that. They were not fooled. God didn't trick them. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't trick them. He told them exactly what's going to happen. And they accepted upon themselves this reality. Therefore, we learn from Kairach, even if you have a spiritual concept, if you're not a Moshe Rabbeinu, don't play around with this.
So it's like Naviv and Avihu?
Yeah, in a way. Another view was totally based on holiness, and there was based a little bit on the Nefesh Abamas, on the jealousy that they have. That's why we have to be skis. We have to, the Rebbe in the Yom Yom said a couple of days ago, you can, his father, the Fidik Rebbe, the People's Rebbe said his father told him that you can have a Nefesh Abahamis that's dressed in a chassid. Right? You can have an animal soul that's dressed like a pious individual because he thinks it's piety, but it's a little bit of selfishness involved. There's a little ego. There's some, right? If you're a tzaddik, if you're a righteous person, you nullified yourself of your existence, like Nadav and Avihu, like Avram Avinu, Moshe Rabbeinu. These people nullified their existence. So they can handle godliness, because godliness can handle physicality. That's the situation. Godliness can handle physicality. Godliness is not physicality is not a challenge to godliness. It's the ego that's a challenge to godliness. It's the ego. It's a selfishness that is so until you can say to yourself honestly that you don't have a selfish bone in your body. Maybe it's somebody around this table. I'm not going to challenge everybody. But I'm not a tzaddik, and I have a selfish bone in my body. And it might be small, as the Gemara says, shminis shebeshminis. It might be an eighth of ego, but it doesn't make a difference. Ego, selfishness is, and it's a good thing. Ultimately, I need my ego. I'm not a tzaddik, and I need my ego. Because I can use my ego for good things, but ultimately it's ego. And therefore, that's why even they were ready to die, but we say there was jealousy involved. There was a machlekes. It was not totally l'shem shamayim. Therefore, their children did tshuva because they realized it's a little bit selfish. Even though they wanted to become kehanim for godly reasons, but there was a little bit of shminish. There was a little bit of selfishness. They were a little bit jealous, and that alone is the opposite of godliness. They can go together. So everybody needs to know their space. There's nothing wrong to be selfish because it can be used out for good things. We're not tzaddikim, and we need to be a little bit selfish. But then we have to realize that ultimately this selfishness that we have, this ego that we have, is gullus. This ego they have is a little bit of gullus, a little bit of exile. So that's what Alter Rebbe says. He says, in essence, nevertheless, his soul will become pure, more precious in his eyes than the despised body. That's all he had to come into. You had to bitul hayesh. And I said, we have to accomplish the nullification of ego. We have to accomplish nullification of ego. How do we accomplish nullification of ego? We put something primary. We make Yiddishkeit, make God primary. Not that we're denying our body. our physical side, our needs, our selfishness that we have certain selfish needs that we all have, pride, ego, self-worth, honor, whatever it might be that you need in your life. You need to have recognition. All these things that people need. We need these things. We need people to recognize us. We need people to praise us. We need people to acknowledge us. And they're not negative things. Nobody did an Aveda with self-recognition. There's no sin in it. It's not a sin. It's not a sin. But ultimately, if we're truly godly people, what did Avraham Avinu say? Anochi offer I'm dust and ashes. If a person feels like he's dust and ashes, then what does he care about if anybody recognizes him or doesn't recognize him? You recognize my dust and ashes. They say the story of Rabbi Shmelka. I said it yesterday at the Pirkei Avos. They say a beautiful story of Rabbi Shmelka in Nikolsburg. He's a great tzaddik. He lived in Shmelka Nikolsburg. You can look him up. I believe the times at Alter Rebbe. He used to travel around. He used to go to different cities, inspire Jews. So whenever he came to a city, before he came in, he would say, I need an hour, I need some time for private meditation before I go into, to speak to the Olam. Thousands of people came to listen to him. So one time a chassid of his hid in the room. The guy hid in the closet. He wanted to see what is this guy doing for Harao? What is he doing? What is he doing for now? So he saw Rab Shmelka. He was walking around. Now he was saying, "Oh, Rab Shmelka is here. Oh, I want to introduce Rab Shmelka. He's the greatest. There's nobody greater than Rab Shmelka. And everybody give honor to Rab Shmelka." He was walking down like an hour. He kept on saying it. Oh, Rab Shmelka, he's here. Shalom Aleichem, the one and only, the special. And then he went to give his speech. So his chassid went to him and said, "What was that all about?" "Well, I'm sorry. I want to apologize. I hid in your room. I saw you going to Rab Shmelka." He says, "Listen, before I go to speak, I don't want to get any gaivas, and therefore I go and I talk about Shmelka. After like 10 times saying that, it becomes disgusting already, right? Because how much of Shmelka? How much can I say to myself how great I am? How many times it becomes after 10 minutes? I feel like this is crazy. Who am I? I'm Shmelka. So that's how I prepare myself. I prepare myself when people come and they praise me. I already feel like it's not so important because I've already shmelked myself out already. I've already egoed myself out. I'm ready to go and do my job. What I came to do, inspire Jews, not for the ego that I already did. I got my ego. I egoed myself out already. So that's it. So how many times can you hear, "Oh, it's Alma Booker, whatever your name is. Oh, you're a great guy. You're a great guy. You're phenomenal. Oh, you're doing unbelievable things. Oh, thank God." Okay, get it out of the system. Get the ego out of the system. You're praised. You're wonderful. Okay. Nobody's denying your wonders. Nobody's denying your greatness. You're phenomenal. Okay, what does that have to do with the reality? Garnished. The Rebbe would say, people would say, the American expression, when somebody would say, "Oh, you're great," says, how do you take it to the bank? That's what they say in America. How do you take my greatness to the bank? What does the greatness help the bottom line? Garnished. So what does it help the bottom line? What does the ego help the bottom line? That's what that. So praise yourself instead of waiting for other people. Get up and look in the mirror and praise yourself. You're great. You're phenomenal. There's nobody like you in the world. It's all true. Now go do what you got to do. Instead of waiting for all the praises, go. You praise yourself. You did the praises already. You accomplished all the praises in life. Yeah.
It also gives you self-confidence before you get and go.
Yeah. He did it for the opposite. He wanted to have the humility. He wanted humility. He said, I got out my ego. I praised myself. I talked myself how great I am, and I have done it. I went to a class how to speak, it says you say, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. You have to look in the mirror and keep on saying, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. That's a different concept. So that's a good ego. You know you can do it. That's a problem. Most of us don't do anything because we think we cannot do it. That's why we need to have ego. A tzaddik does something because that's what God wants us to do. Okay, we're not that level. We need to have a push that we can do it. So we need to have that little bit of ego that gives us the push that we can do it. Because if we think like we're a bunch of schmatters, we'll never do anything. It's like this at least. We push ourselves. We say we're great. And if somebody else tells us we're great, then we surely feel good we can do it. And so you need that. It's nothing wrong. People should praise you. I'm not here to say people should praise you. And we should praise people. It's important to praise people and tell them they're good and tell them they're unbelievable. We all know that's an important thing, especially children. But it's all children with that. We all need to have praise. We all need praise. We don't want to be... Nobody likes rebuke. That's why Chassidus is praise. Right? It's not Musa. We're not learning Musa here. We're learning Chassidus. Chassidus tells you how great you are. Chassidus tells you how great you are. Chassidus, what is he telling you over? He's telling you, yeah, even though the negative is strong, the positive is stronger. Redeem the positive. Free the positive. You're 100% the negative is strong, but the past, go out of gullus, go out of your own act. You're great. You have a godly soul. So it is about positivity. And that's the beauty of Chassidus, that we talk to positive, even though there's negative. Let's accentuate the positive. Right? So you always tell there's more, you always tell people that you have arguments that we agree on more than we disagree. Right? So why do we have to talk about the way we don't disagree on? Let's talk about what we agree on. Right? You're not going to find two people that agree on everything. Let's say have an unbelievable marriage. Wow. But most of us don't agree on everything. Because each one has a different identity and a different reality. So there's nothing wrong disagreeing, but there's 100% that there's much more that we agree on. And therefore, let's talk about the positive. Maybe by showing that we agree more, then the disagreement won't be so important. Not that sometimes the disagreement won't change. Like the body won't change. Like the body's not going to change. The body's going to be the body. But if you talk about the greatness of the soul, then the importance of the body won't be that important. They'll be secondary. Will it still be there? But it won't be the entity of all. And that's the beauty of if you can do that in any relationship you have. That there's more beauty than negative. There's more happy times than sad times or strife. And therefore, it's still a good situation. Yeah. That's what it says. The sages say, when Abishta created the first day of in the creation, it says, he created darkness and night. What's the darkness and light? There's good and bad. Because there's no light. There's not the light of the day. It's the light of the light of God. And the opposite is darkness. But the Abish said he's good. At the same moment that he created both entities, he says it's good. Ayar Hashem Kitayv. The Abish thought it's good. Why? Because God was hoping that people will accentuate the light. But people are accentuating the darkness. We want to accentuate the darkness for whatever reason, because it is dark. Yeah, so you have even today, you listen to the news in Israel. So you have certain newscasts that talk about the positive. You have certain say constantly the negative. Negative. Yeah, are there negative? Sure, it's tragic. What's happening? Are there unbelievable miracles? Are there unbelievable positive? Yes, there is. So what are you gonna do? What should we do? Regular people like us. We're not the powers of the world. We only could talk. So what are we gonna do? We talk about the positive. Talk about the positive. And that's what the Torah wants you to talk about the positive. Accentuate the positive. Because there's 100% more positive in the world than negative.
Great app, WhatsApp,
Yeah,
called Israel's Positive News.
good. That's it.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
Israel gets positive.
That's it. That's it.
Good.
That's it. Bezat Hashem. Bezat Hashem. That's what we should. We should hear only good news.
Yeah.
You imagine there was a guy who made a paper only good news. He didn't survive. Nobody wanted to buy it. People want to hear bad news. They want to hear somebody else's bad news.
Good news is, I guess,
Right.
boring.
What the guy once said, every day I wake up in the morning, I look at the obituary. I'm not there. I'm happy.
Rabbi Zucker joke.
Yeah, it is. That is. So that's the point. And he will rejoice in her joy. That's it. Rejoice. Is the soul still in the body? Yeah. But rejoice in the joy of the soul. Will the soul change the body? Maybe not. It's a big job to change the body. But is it a rejoice in the soul that when it gets its freedom, when it does its good deed, when it learns it, it's 100% a great joy for the soul. So rejoice in the joy of the soul. And not confined and confuse the joy of the soul with the misery of the body. Don't mix the two issues. They're two different things. There's a joy of the soul, there's the misery of the body. That's life. That is the way the Eibishter created the world. That's the way I am. I'm not going to change that. I'll never change that. If you learn Chassidus, you're never going to change that. So therefore, that's why it's a big avodah for me to be positive. It's not a chachma to be positive in a positive world. It's a chachma to be positive in a negative world. It's a wisdom. Once a Jew came by the Rebbe and told the Rebbe, I have to build a building, but I have no money. So he says, not a chachma to build a building with money. It's a chachma to build a building when you don't have money. That's the chachma. When you have money, you have to come to me and ask me anything. You have money. What's the chachma? The chachma is to build a building without money. Figure it out, how to build a building without the money. Because the building needs to be built, so now you figure it out how to do it without the money. Because that's the end product. The money, well, you'll figure it out. But what has to be done? The building has to be built. The kids have to go to school. The building has to be built. That's it. Yiddishkeit has to happen, whether you like it or not. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out how to do it with the situation that we're in. That's a mission. That's truly a concept of a Jew with a mission. A Jew needs to be with a mission. Got a mission. Sure, there's obstacles, but you got a mission. And the second the obstacles become too big for you, then you're not good for the mission. And a yid needs to have that mission. He needs to give the soul its mission. It shouldn't, chas v'sholem, allow that the obstacles should become greater than the mission. This, the Alter Rebbe says, is the release of the soul from the exile of the body. It is in the nature of Exodus from Egypt, the connection with which is written, the people had fled. They ran out of Mitzrayim. They ran. What did they run for? Because you have to run from Mitzrayim. You got to run. You got to run. At first sight, it's strange. that it should have happened in that way. If had the Pharaoh been requested to liberate them forever, would he not have been compelled to let them go? Because the evil in the soul, the problem was not the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh chased them out of Mitzrayim. Why did they have to run? Because the Jews knew themselves, they had connected to Egypt, and we know that the Jews always, what was the first thing? Let's go back to Egypt. You can take the Jew out of Egypt, but you can't take Egypt out of the Jew. And that was a problem. We see throughout the entire Torah that the Jewish people were always saying, even last week's Parsha, let's go back to Egypt. We remember the food in Egypt. Here there were slaves in Egypt. The Bnei Shalaylam, we saved you from slavery. No, let's go back to it. Slave mentality. Therefore, the Jews at that time knew if they're going to think too much, they're not going to leave Egypt. You should realize that only 1/5 of the nation left Egypt. That means 4/5 of the nation said they don't want to leave Egypt. So even the 1/5 of the nation, they had to run. That's what the Torah says. There was not enough time for the food to bake. They pushed out to run because they knew if they're going to think this over twice, they're going back to Egypt. They're not leaving. And you can't blame them. We're not judging anybody because everybody can be big talkers. But this was a struggle for the Jews to leave Egypt mentality, leave even the idols of Egypt, etc. This was a tough situation. Not an easy situation. Even Moshe Rabbeinu is teaching in Rashi today. Moshe Rabbeinu says you're still in Kairach. He says you're still thinking like a pagan. You're still thinking like an Egyptian. You don't realize we're not Egyptians anymore. We don't think like Egyptians. We have one Torah, one God, one orator, we have one thing. You're still thinking like the pagans in Egypt. That we can have many. You're making a mistake.
I'm just going to say that there is comfort in the knowable.
Agree. That's why trust in God. That's a trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have to trust in God. It's not an easy thing. It says three. I mentioned three things. The Gemara says, the Gemara says there are three things that come through pain and suffering. Pain. One is Torah, the acquirement of Torah comes through pain. You have to work hard on it. Eretz Yisrael comes through pain and suffering. It's not given on a platter. And even though it's a gift, Torah is a gift. Eretz Yisrael is a gift. It's an inheritance. It's a gift. Nevertheless, it comes through pain and suffering. And Elam Haba, Mashiach, comes through pain and suffering. Which is also a gift. David says, no, I'm not giving it to you easy. I'm not going to give it this in an easy way. You're going to have to run. You're going to have to run towards it. You're going to have to fight for it. It's not easy to have Eretz Yisrael. Right? The nations of the world still don't want to give us Eretz Yisrael. They don't want to give it to us. Jewish blood is still cheap. At first sight, it's straight, right? Okay, but because the evil in the soul of the Jews was still in the strength in the left part, for not until the giving of the Torah did the impurity cease, yet their aim and desire was to free the divine soul from the exile of the Sitra Achra, which is the defilement of Egypt. We still in going out of Egypt. We're still going out. We still got to run. We still got to run. We haven't yet come to the situation that we don't have to run yet. But we have to have the desire to run. We can't get lazy. That's the problem. Your biggest gullus is laziness. My biggest gullus is laziness. Laziness. We're lazy. For whatever reason, the body makes us lazy. We're lazy. Why do we need to let's walk? We need to run. Ki baracha, we need to run. Stop being lazy. We got to push this through. Right? What do we say? Hayom kotza, v'malacha meruba. The day is short. The work is a lot. And they have poelim atzalim, and the workers are lazy. And the balabai is daichek. The reward is great, and the master is pushing. The Abish is pushing. God is pushing. He's pushing us to get to the end. Don't give up. Shiach's coming any minute. Don't give up. We're going to bring this to an end. We're going to bring this gullus to an end. Got to run a little bit. That's it. We have to run away from impurity. That's it. We got to run away from this impurity. Because our aim is divine soul, the exile of Sitacha, which is defilement of Egypt. And cleave to God, as it's written. The Lord is my strength. He's my fortress. He's my refuge on the day of affliction. That's it. On the day of affliction, who would I run to? I run to the Eibishter. I run to God. I don't wallow in my affliction. The Jewish people didn't wallow. They ran. Picked up their bags and ran. We need to pick up our bags and run. We need to run to good. We need to run to good. I don't know if Dalton ever was talking about that. You know, having an ayin tov is having a good eye. The Mishnah, go see what's a good. He says having an ayin tov, having a good eye, and that is the truth. That is in the beginning creation when God created the world. He created light, not light of the day. Again, a light in the world. Vayar Hashem ki tov. The Eibishter, even though he created that day and choshech, he saw that this light is good. Ayin tov. We all have to find that light. We all have to find that light that is good. And it's not easy because this light is hidden. So we have to find the light. When you say ayin tov, a person should have a good eye, should be positive. It's again, when you're in a positive situation, you don't have to be told to be positive. You have to be told to be positive when you're in a negative situation. When you're in Erev. When you're in the evening. So in that situation, you have to say, no, it is good. Right? It is good. You can have two ways, right? The Gemara says there are two ways you can say that. You could say it like Rabbi Akiva, whatever the Eibishter does is good, will be good. Or you can say like Nachum Mishka Gamzu, this is good. I don't know what kind of level you're on. You're on the level of Rabbi Akiva who says, okay, this is terrible, but it's going to be good. Whatever the Eibishter does. Or you say, this is good. Pick your choice. The Gemara says both choices. Pick your choice. For many of us, it's hard to say this is good. Because we live in our body is more powerful than our soul. And it's bad. So then be like Rabbi Akiva, who nevertheless doesn't give hope on the good. Who says whatever the Eibishter does, even though whatever God does, even though right now it looks to me as bad, is good. It'll take me time. I'll ultimately see the good. And most of us can reach up, most of us. No, the Gemara says, when the Gemara says a story, in these two stories, and the Gemara gives a story, you can go look up the Gemara, it tells you the beautiful story of Akiva, it tells you the beautiful story of Nachum Ish Gamzu, And why does it tell you the story? Because as I told you, when the Gemara says a story, the Gemara wants to ask you, where do you fit in the story? Do you fit in Rabbi Kiva's story? Do you fit in Nachum Gam's story? To be honest with yourself. Do yourself praise. And if you don't fit in either one, then you get to work. Get to work. Then you need to work on yourself. Then you need to come to either one. Either Rabbi Kiva or Nachum Gam. You gotta work on that. Because I believe a lot of us don't fit in either one of the stories. We get stuck in the negative. When we do, we get stuck in the negative, and we're still negative. And therefore, the Gemara tells you a story to get out of it. Run. Some of us have to run. We have to run to the positive. My friends, Chassidus wants you to be positively biased. Positive bias. You have to bend yourself to the positive. You got to do that, even if you have to fake it. You got to bend yourself, because it's not faking, because it is positive. If you believe in God, everything is positive. Whether it's going to see the positive now, you're going to see the positive. It doesn't make a difference. God says everything is there for a purpose, and therefore everything is positive. So therefore, you have to bend yourself. You have to work. This is not something that comes easy, especially at the moment.
Positive situation. I know that's an extreme, but that's part of my.
Go read Viktor Frankl's book, and he said that whoever didn't believe in positive didn't survive. So everybody, if you had to believe in positive there. You had to believe in positive. There's a light at the end. You had to. Because if you didn't survive, Chas v'shalom. So that's the opposite. You have to. That's your job. So Baruch Hashem, we're not in concentration camps. We're on our own gullus. That for every reason, when something negative happens or something doesn't go with us right, we fall apart. We fall apart. We can't handle it. Fall apart. It's over. Destruction, anger, hatred, fighting. Yeah, that's a kaidach. We'll make an argument, make a fight. That's what you have, a disagreement, make a fight. We don't see eye to eye, make a fight. Let's go fight. Let's go create hatred in the world. Let's create division. That's what something negative happens to you. That's the response. Creating more negative. So you're not better than the person who created negative. You're just creating more negative. So you're blaming the previous person that they create not if I can create negative. So actually, matzah mina smina, you're exactly like each other. They're negative, you're negative, everybody's negative. Big accomplishment. Success. That's why it says, don't be like Kairach, who had a fight with himself. It doesn't say, you see, it says Hillel and Shammai. It should be like the argument of Hillel and Shammai, who loved each other. They argued. These two rabbis argued with each other on everything. This guy said day, the other guy said night. This guy said the law is like this, the other guy said the law is like that. They argued with each other, but they loved each other. And that machlekes continues. Kairach v'adaseh, it says, don't be like the argument of Kairach and his own community. Why doesn't it say it? Don't be like the argument of Kairach and Moshe. Like Hillel and Shammai should have said, the Mishnah should have said, don't be like the argument of Kairach and Moshe Rabbeinu. Because Moshe Rabbeinu had no argument. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't continue the argument. He said, mix me out of this. I have nothing to do with this. Go to God. That's it. I'm out. You want to argue with me? I have nothing to do with this situation. I'm not arguing with you. You want to be a Kohen, like Rashi said today. You want to be a Kohen? I want to be a Kohen. So I'm with you. I want to be a Kohen too. So I'm not arguing with you. That's the way to have an argument. I'm not arguing with you. So therefore, Kohen had an argument with himself. He had an argument with himself. He didn't have an argument with Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu said, I'm not arguing with you. I'm not involved. You argue with the wrong guy because I have no argument. I agree with you. You should be a Kohen. You think I care if you're going to be a Kohen? Gesundheit. If God wants you to be a Kohen, you'll be a Kohen. What do I care? I'm going to get disappointed you're a Kohen. That's not the argument you should have. And if somebody comes to argue, you say, I'm not arguing. I'm out. I have no arguments. I'm not involved in this. I'm out. You'll see if the argument will continue. Because the person that's arguing is looking for an argument. They're looking for the fight. For whatever reason. Okay. So therefore, that has to be, you have to run away. Run away from this situation. Run away from gullus. Run to good. Run to the light. I said, the Rebbe would always scream, we're the workers of the light. He would always say this. Don't get involved with negative. Don't get involved with hate. Don't get involved with it. Don't get involved. We're the workers of the day. We work in light, in goodness, in kindness, happiness, in joy, family, education. That's our life. We're not getting involved in politics and hatred, anti-Semitism, and all these things. It's above our pay grade. It's above. It's above our job is, our shlichus in the world is to deal with light. To go out, spread Yiddishkeit. That's our job. No more or no less. That's our avodah. We should all have the same avodah. Our avodah is light. To continue to do good. And continue to spread godliness. That's our avodah. Wherever we are, we're in any situation we're in, that's our avodah. Release your soul. Is the body going to run away? No. Baruch Hashem. Till 120, we should be stuck with it. It's a good thing. So look at the Alter Rebbe continues. The quality of this repentance will be stronger and more intense from the depths of the heart, and like the joy of the soul will be added to the measure of light and joy when he will reflect in his heart with the knowledge and understanding to console himself from his distress and sorrow, saying as above, truly and without doubt. But it was not I who created myself. Why then has thus God done this thing? To cause a portion of his light, blessed be he, which fills and encompasses all the worlds, and therefore everything is so no account, to descend and to be clothed in a serpent's skin. Why would God do that? Why am I inside? I can do so much good. Why am I in pain? That has to be the response. Why I can accomplish so much in this world, that why do I need to go through this? That's prayer. That's the concept of prayer. Not kvetching on the negative, but kvetching on the loss of positive. You got the difference. You can kvetch on the negative, or you can start kvetching on your loss of positive. How much more things I could do if I wasn't involved in this negative situation. And then you ask the question, why did God put me? Then you have to go, why did God put me in this? Maybe God put you into this to actually reveal a greater positive. Maybe you wouldn't reveal who you really are without this negative giving you the capability to see how great Ashmalka is. To see how great you are. Because you are great. Moshe, you're great. The problem is that he has to know it. He has to know. You don't gain. He doesn't gain anything with your. He doesn't gain anything with your knowledge. No, he has to know. He has to know. Every one of us has to know that we're great. And we're unbelievable because we have a godly soul. That the able to trust that can do unbelievable things and bring a wholeness and godliness in this world. And do good in the world. So you imagine the Eibishter, as Alter Rebbe says, think about it. You know how great you are because God, who's infinite, wants you. He wants you. As long as you're alive, He wants you. Actually, He wants you even after you're 120. He still wants you. Every neshama is unique. Every human being is unique. And the Eibishter, who is infinite, says, I want you. Not I want them. I want you. So if you can imagine that God wants you, how much you would run away from all this Narishkeit. Even though the Narishkeit is following you. It's following you. It's right behind you. But still, who cares? Let it follow me. I'll use it out. I need it. I need the Narishkeit once in a while to use it out for different things that I need to accomplish in this world. So I need this Narishkeit. That's the beauty. Look at that's positive. Understand? That's looking. Yeah, you sure you have a serpent skin. That's true. You have a body, you have tzaddis, you have issues, all true. What is the expression they say? Don't tell God how big your tzaddis are. Tell your tzaddis how big God is. That's it. What happens? You do that, the your tzaddis become secondary. Doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear. It becomes not so important. And either you'll just ignore it, or you'll work on it. You'll change it. You'll realize that it's just such great potential. So therefore, you'll put the ego, you'll put the tzaddis in the right place. Yeah, does it resonate with you? This concept?
If you know everything's ultimately going to turn out good, then you just got to say, how can I best navigate this problem till it becomes revealed good, right?
Right. But let me ask you a question. When you have a tsar, right? Let's say tsar, no b'shav tsar. You have a tsar, but now you're going to a simcha. Right?
You snap out of it.
Right, you snap out of it. We're going to a simcha. We're going to a party. We're going to a simcha. We're going to a wedding. So what are we gonna do? Right now we're going to a simcha. Mazel tov. We'll convene after the wedding. Right. So the Torah says this world is like a wedding. You're in a wedding. If you're in a wedding, what's the problem? We're in a simcha right now. You don't want to spoil your nobody wants to take that tzaddik and spoil somebody else's wedding. This is God's wedding. And why would we want to spoil his wedding? This is my soul's wedding with the world, and why am I going to spoil my wedding? I mentioned this because I had to remind myself I have a wedding. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. We shall continue in Rich next week. Have a wonderful and beautiful day. I have Baruch Hashem.